how it has been all through.
So, a little bit about myself. I'm Andrew Morrison. I'm from America, and I had a really interesting, unique childhood. Um, Even a lot of people I grew up with don't know this a lot about me, but my parents divorced at a young age. They split up very young. I was very young. And my dad had a job opportunity to move over to Singapore. I was about like 5 or 6. And he lived in first Singapore for about half the time, for about 8 years or so, and then the other 8 years or so in Shanghai. He relocated to China. And we would go, me and my 2 older siblings, we would go to visit him and his wife, my stepmom, every summer. We would stay about a month. And every summer we would take additional trips to other foreign Asian countries. So that was all I knew growing up was Asian cultures. We would go to Buddhist temples, and so I always had a worldly view on life, but specifically Asian cultures and philosophy and things of that nature. And India was the one country we never got to see. We went all over Asia, Tibet, Vietnam. So that really helped come into play as far as my interest in the career. So I studied psychology in my undergrad, and from there I went on to graduate school in Chinese medicine. So acupuncture, and that includes herbal medicine as well, and a few other additional modalities. And it's a very big subject. And so I never planned on doing astrology professionally. It's not a very common career in America. But I did have an interest in astrology since a young age. Western astrology was all what was available to us. But it wasn't until much later that I discovered that there were other systems. And the one astrology system that I couldn't get enough of was Vedic astrology, known as Jyotish. And so from that point on, it was just the rest was history, and I just fell in love. And having my background in acupuncture and healing field, it made sense. It really helped give me an edge, so to speak.
I would like to know how you met Mr. Andrew.
So I created a Facebook group, and he's a part of my group on Facebook for astrology.
It's really seen that people part of the Facebook are for generous and they meet you in personal. Like it's not there.
It was profile. But it was profile. We get together. With yourself. Okay. I thought that it's a fake profile. That's why I was not accepting. But one day I saw him in Instagram too, with lots of pictures. So finally I thought that it's a genuine profile, and Morrison exists. So I accepted his friend Facebook request, and after that we used to chat on astrological things, Vedic science. Mm-hmm. We come together and finally realize that we have some sort of past life experiences in Vedic science and all, in astrology. Mm-hmm. And finally, we met. We are deciding to research more on Vedic science and astrology. And one more thing, he's American, but he's having loads of experiences loads of knowledge in Vedic astrology, and it's just a fantastic feeling because he can challenge an Indian too in his knowledge.
So Marcel, I have one question. Like the youth, we today we don't take interest in Vedic science. Like, is there any solution like to the government or to the education body to introduce Vedic science as a curriculum, or something that in a way which in which we can simplify the subjects or the topics, so that like kids like us or the people who are much not aware of the topic, so they can get things. Any way, any suggestion?
In India or
Anywhere.
anywhere?
Anywhere, like call it, it's a science, so there's no boundaries. So like people like you who got late attached to this thing, people can who are interested, they can come any way, any circular, any introduction or any way out in which people can know about it. Any suggestions, like the government can implement such things, like our government is implementing many things. They are trying to change curriculum and framework of our education body. So it could be a good suggestion, so the government can have an idea. We have like Vedic science can be a good idea to introduce in curriculum. We don't have it. We follow the Western culture of education. We don't have our own. We had, but we have depleted it to morally and on a professional grounds too. Like if I say to my parents like I want to be a astrologer and I want to do this as my career, the first thing I'll be told to get out of the house and live on my own. So it's like a tough career.
Significance of Vedic science, how it is important for the whole world.
In a practical manner?
Yeah, in a practical, in a professional way. How should people to get benefited from it?
Well, I don't know if this answers your question, but for example, I mean, Americans, they are very superstitious of many things and astrology and fortune tellers, but it is upcoming. It's on the rise. It's becoming more popular and mainstream. But when I like explain myself to other Americans, for example, I try to do it in a practical manner. I try to avoid like Indian terms. And even in America, I don't market myself as Indian astrology because astrology itself is already sort of seen as this alien language, this foreign alien language that people don't always understand and they don't really take it seriously. So I try to be very simple-minded that way and very simplistic. But I guess to answer more of your question, and again, I don't.
The point where the fake astrologers with fortune telling come into play. And that's where people like you or of your community who are serious about things, they are not in contact with the people, and the people who are cheap available with wrong information, they get in the way and they destroy people like you. So that's the problem. So that if there is a cheap material like a book or something in the curriculum, it could help people to understand what you actually are doing. It will take at least 3 days or a 3 hour discussion for a normal man to understand what you actually do. So all you got to do is simplify things, so that there can be something in curriculum in our book or story or something like in a way in which people can relate things simply. Like if you say that I forecast I can forecast things how there will be an earthquake here or there will be things that global terrorism, people won't get it. Like they need a simpler version of things.
Right.
Like in our country, like if you use the hyperbolic terms, if they pass it from their hand, they won't listen to the next minute. It's like a minimum content and maximum information. That is now desire of the nation.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your question right, but I always use the example to my American friends that when they are curious about Vedic astrology, I always use the classic example of yoga. Because yoga is a great example. I find it's something that has always been around, been around for thousands of years. and it's a very
Very powerful tool for
very powerful tool
mental exercise.
that now it's like
Now it has been promoted globally on World Yoga Day.
mainstream in American culture now, and it's before it was just viewed as very silly and something that people on drugs.
Even the UN also has supported this cause. Now it has been celebrated all over the World Yoga Day. So, like, I had a personal question: how is fortune telling different from astrology?
Yes. So I always tell people that people that are fortune tellers or psychics, that is more of a spiritual gift that they are born with. It's more something beyond themselves. And astrology is a science because it's something that has been tested through trial and error.
It can be examined.
But I will say that a good astrologer should have their own intuition, and that they just don't look at something. They look at their chart.
Not only dependent on the books and sources, but a good institution.
Three-dimensional.
Intuition also.
A three-dimensional outlook on someone's chart, not just looking at their chart. So basically, like reading the astrology book and then like, okay.
And these things are going to happen to you. They
need to have their own understanding, their own.
So all you're saying that astrology has logic, and it can be examined and it can be tested. Whereas fortune telling is totally based on a personal experience and a spiritual sense. So there can be errors in fortune telling, but there are less chances of error in astrology. That's what you're saying.
America is very materialistic. If you know about that, but a lot of astrologers in America some do really well, and when you sort of people pick up on that, then they start to take you more seriously. But there's one, her name is Joni Petrie, she's really well known, she's in Texas. She has been an astrologer.
You met her?
I haven't met any other woman American.
Kapilraj, you met Kapilraj?
I haven't met him.
You don't met Kapilraj? Arjun Pal?
I haven't met him. But my favorite is Joni Petrie. I think she does a really good job at explaining things in a very practical manner. And
just kind of your genre, what you like to hear or listen.
She studied psychology just like me, and when she grew up in like the 60s, I think. She started studying astrology in the 60s.
The age of 60?
1960s.
19, okay.
And that was when the hippie movement was.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah,
Were those good?
I think probably
Mahadev.
Mohammed.
Namaste.
Namaste. Jai. Yes, I just started writing a book. It won't be available this year, but hopefully next year. And I want to have it available in ebook and a hard copy as well. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward.